Who would have thought, after almost 30 years, Adam Sandler would be back as Happy Gilmore on the small screen as a Netflix streaming exclusive? Certainly not teenage Adam, who saw it in theaters and laughed his ass off. But teenage Adam has grown up. So has Adam Sandler. And this guy decided, in his infinite wisdom, that since he hasn't made a funny comedy in over 20 years, this is the perfect time to ruin a classic. And since he double dipped on Happy Gilmore, why the hell shouldn't I double dip on a review? I already put out a regular review with spoilers, but now it's time for the full recap. I'm gonna go through this movie from beginning to miserable end and go over the pro and all of the cons. Let's begin, you jackass. Say, before we play a round of 18 together, if you wouldn't mind driving your golf cart right into that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, I would appreciate it. And guess what? It's free of charge. This round's on me. Just hit it, costs you nothing except for a tiny fraction of time. And that way, you won't miss a video by me in the future. All right, let's get into it. The film fires up with that iconic Happy Gilmore theme song. Plus, we get the old slideshow presentation going through the events of the last 30 years. These first 2 minutes will be the sum of my smiling throughout this film, as I found this to be very fun and true to the spirit of the original. We get a montage of Happy Gilmore getting lucky playing golf, winning extra gold jackets, marrying the love of his life, Virginia, and raising a beautiful family of 4 boys and 1 girl. The boys, just as hot-headed as their father, can't play golf themselves because they get too angry and they end up beating the shit out of everyone they go up against. There's some fun creativity and some sight gags here too, such as a bird shitting on Sandler's ball, forcing it in so that he wins the round. Yes, it truly was a great less than 3 minutes. Let's relish in it, because what's to follow is miserable, as Happy Gilmore ends up killing another person he loves. This time, his wife. We all remember him killing Chubbs in the first film. It's played mostly for laughs. Obviously, Happy feels terrible about it, but it comes late in the game, and this gives him one final obstacle to overcome and accept in the final match. Here, it sets the tone at such a piss-poor, miserable level, all you can do is scratch your head and go, what? This is what we're doing with the movie? What's extra annoying is the first 2 minutes showcase that Adam Sandler clearly knows what can be funny still, as it showed him de-aged in his younger form, still up to the old hijinks we saw him back in the 90s. But now, we fast forward 30 years, and we see him with a beard, he's grizzled, he's hunched over, depressed about killing his wife. And because she was in charge of the finances, he lost his house, they're poor, they couldn't even keep Grandma's old place. You know, the entire plot from the first film. We're gonna recycle it, kind of, except for I don't feel like the house really ever gets brought up more than one more time. It's such an afterthought to throw in. I don't know why they even bothered. There's 2 other major plots going on in the movie. For the first half of the movie, we're gonna focus on his daughter in both the film and real life, Vienna, played by Sonny Sandler. Adam Sandler's wife in real life, also in this movie, informs Happy Gilmore that his daughter has a perfect opportunity to dance ballet in Paris, taught by the masters. Unfortunately, comes at a hefty price tag. And because Happy is so inept with money, he's out of it. But don't worry, our chips are down protagonist has a few tricks up his sleeve. Actually, it's alcohol up his sleeve, and in a remote control, and in a golf ball, and in a cuckoo clock, and everything else in the movie somehow has some alcohol in it. There's plenty of cartoonishness in the first film, but nothing that rivals this whole alcohol magic trick he keeps doing. Early on, when he's at the grocery store, he busts out a cucumber and pops the top and starts drinking it. What the fuck is this movie? And it's at that grocery store he's gonna run into the villain of the film, Frank Manatee. This character introduces himself to Happy Gilmore and has a proposition for him to join his new Maxi Golf League, which is going to be far more extreme than regular boring old golf, and it's going to feature top tier players, so it's serious business. And since Happy Gilmore has no cash to his name, this is the perfect opportunity to make some fast. So he naturally says no, and on top of that throws him in a tank of lobsters, because why not? You know, just for fun. The reason he says no is because his dead wife, who he killed, Virginia, was a big fan of regular traditional golf, and he knew that would dishonor her name. Hey, I'm glad he's looking out for his wife. Wish he would have looked out for her when he hit that drive. Unfortunately, it's going to take Happy Gilmore a while before he gets back onto the course and really gets into the swing of things, pun intended, because he hasn't picked up a golf club in many years. Not even his wise neighbor, professional golfer John Daly, can really get him out of his funk. After a few more scenes of Happy coming to terms with the fact that he has to play golf once more in order to get his baby girl to that dance recital, he finally hits the links in the most amateur way possible. He's starting out at the very bottom, where he will have to play in a foursome with a couple young whippersnappers, one of which, Margaret Qualley. Now, I will say, I got a couple of chuckles out of this scene. Happy Gilmore struggling to make a shot while these idiots hit the golf path and they celebrate about it. And just being all around celebratory dipshits was kind of funny. But then it keeps going. And it seems like this is never going to end. I don't know why this goes so long. And I also have to once more point out, like I did in the regular review, this movie looks like ass. I freaking hate how these streaming movies look, especially on Netflix with their god-awful cameras that lose any sort of semblance of cinema. It just looks dead inside. Nothing in these movies, especially this one, feels natural. It's all lit to hell and back. Everything feels staged. Nothing feels organic, like background characters and whatnot. And it really hurts the comedy. Even though I did get a few chuckles out of this, it could have been much better if they just would have shot it differently, blocked it better, had a little bit of language behind the shots. Finally, at the end of this scene, he drives the long ball, classic Gilmore style, and announces to the others that he was Happy Gilmore all along. Their minds are blown. They get in the golf cart where he immediately passes out because I guess he's just this old man and he's always drunk off his ass. Laugh! Unfortunately, Eric Andre realized this too late. The golf cart goes flying into the air and completely bodies everyone inside. Thankfully, Happy comes out unscathed, but the other three are in neck braces. It's a whole production. Probably never gonna golf again. Just a few more of the many lives Happy Gilmore has ruined. About 20 minutes into this movie, we switch gears and head over to a mental institution where we're once more introduced to Shooter McGavin. He's gone insane, which was maybe possibly the worst choice they could have done with this character. It was already dumb as shit when they killed off Happy's wife, but to make Shooter a full-blown cartoon character was stupid. He worked so well in the first movie because he was this preppy, pompous, arrogant asshat who was, to be fair, pretty good at rhyming, but not great when it came to analogies. We find out during a parole hearing that he is very much still obsessed with Happy Gilmore. He hates him so much he botched the interview to get out, and so he's put back right into his room. Now, I thought this would be where they would introduce Ben Stiller's character Hal from the first movie. It just seemed like a natural progression for the character to go from old people to the mentally insane. And also, he was a cameo in Hubby Halloween where he worked in an insane asylum. It seemed like you could have transitioned that very nicely. But no, he works for Alcoholics Anonymous now, where he can once again grift people by having them come over to his place and wash his car and clean his windows. And even though that seems somewhat in line with the character from the first film, Stiller doesn't sound or look the same as he did then. It just feels like a completely different character. But to be fair, this feels like a completely different movie. And by that I mean a piece of shit. This is where Adam Sandler's other daughter gets to shine for a little bit, as she's one of the people he befriends while there. When the movie winds down, we're gonna find out that she was in fact working for the feds as a mole, infiltrating Hal's program, and they're able to put this guy behind bars. But before we get there, I wanna point out that in case you missed Happy Gilmore or never watched it almost 30 years ago, don't worry, this movie has you covered. Because anytime they make a reference to a character or even a line of dialogue from the first film, they're gonna play the first film again. You get to see that same quote or that same character in that scene. How delightful. I remember the last time I saw this clip show bullshit was during The Matrix 4, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So thank you, Happy Gilmore 2, for reminding me of that god-awful garbage by doing the same dumb thing. Do they think we don't remember Happy Gilmore? I would imagine 90% of the people watching this movie are big fans of the first. and they can probably quote the movie pretty heavily. So when Hal says, check out the name tag, you're in my world now, Grandma. We know that. You don't need to play it back. Adam Sandler, I don't know whose dumbass idea it was in editing to put these movies back in if they came up to you and said, Sandler, sir, would it trouble you if we put in clips from the first film? He should have immediately responded, you can trouble me for a warm glass to shut the hell up. Because no, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And yes, admittedly, I did force that quote in there. It didn't really make sense in the context I use it, but let's keep going. Around 30 minutes into the film, we get a little bit more of the Maxi stuff going on, talking about how this is gonna revolutionize golf. Happy Gilmore sees this on a computer screen, which then motivates him to get off his ass and start doing some training. Which leads us to a good old-fashioned montage, complete with the Jukebox Hero playing. And I love the song. The montage is okay, actually. It's not too bad. Again, it could look a lot better if they shot this on some damn film or something that resembles film and not this ugly digital crap, but I digress. Oh, also somewhere in there, John Lovitz shows up for like 10 seconds. Thanks, John, because I should have made this clear. The whole film is cameos, which can be a lot of fun if they're utilized correctly. They almost never are, but they're there. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for some golf? 40 minutes into the film, we finally get some. And the big deal about this tournament is the top 10 players will go on to compete in the Maxi Golf Tournament. Oh, I can't wait for this movie to end. Happy needs to find himself a caddy, and in typical Gilmore fashion, he sets his sights on the downtrodden. And in this instance, it's a recently fired busboy played by Check's Notes Bad Bunny. And I'm not gonna lie to you, he wasn't terrible in this. I got a couple laughs out of him. I also got a lot of scenes where I thought, wow, this isn't funny in the slightest. But he wasn't all around terrible. I think it's more the script than it was his performance. He's given it his all. I'll give him that. One of Happy's previous caddies also shows up, and Happy's gonna be playing in a tournament with him. Now, this actor in the movie actually did grow up to be a professional golfer, so that's kind of fun, I suppose, for someone. Not me, but I'm sure someone thought that was fun. And you better believe the movie's not gonna hesitate to do a callback shot from the first film of Happy Gilmore choking him out on the green, and then this guy gets to do it to someone else. Laugh! After some trouble on the greens, our hockey player turned golfer decides to go back into his happy place, which he realized needs to be updated for 2025. So now he's gonna be taking a shit on a toilet in peace. The little person on a tricycle is replaced with Rob Schneider because he is definitely relevant in 2025. I don't know. They just needed a cameo for him to say, you can do it one more time. And you better believe it worked, Buster. Sandler starts sinking some shots again. He's doing the bull dance, feeling the flow, working it. Speaking of Kevin Nealon, he gets to come back too. And he's not funny, which pains me to say because Kevin Nealon is absolutely hilarious, or at least he used to be, but modern Sandler has a way of taking the humor out of pretty much everything. Now, I'm being incredibly negative because I hate this movie, but it should be noted, and I've said this before in the past, but Happy Gilmore is one of my favorite comedies ever. Just want to get that out there so that it's known. The first Happy Gilmore is freaking funny as shit. Everything worked for me. The dumb, immature humor blends well with some of the smarter, snappier lines of dialogue. Shooter McGavin is brilliant in the film. He's one of my favorite villains in a comedy, right up there with Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. Adam Sandler perfects that frat boy rage and just unleashes it onto the camera for an hour and a half. It's perfect for me. Not even little Haley Joel Osment can make this work. He shows up as a sleeper agent for the Maxi Golf League, pretending to be a regular golfer. But when he wins the tournament, he drops the mic and walks out saying, yep, this was all a ruse. I don't need your prize money. I don't need anything. I'm going to play for Maxi. That's where real legends are made. Speaking of Maxi, the villain over there has pulled some strings and got Shooter McGavin out of his mental institution, and he even has prepared a nice slab of pancakes for him to not enjoy because he has no time to waste. He needs to show him the place and what they're going to be doing. This floors Shooter in the worst way possible. He thinks it's a disgrace to golf. It's about the only characteristic from the original movie that made its way back, where he has some semblance of his former character. Now, Happy technically makes the top 10 here because Haley Joel Osment drops out, but he was in 11th initially, and it's because he got depressed again when he started seeing his dead wife show up on the course. He also gets to see his old boss's son, you know, the big, huge dude who he drove a nail into. The son informs him that his dad died by rolling over on the nail, so Happy Gilmore has now killed his wife, Chubbs, the Mr. lady from the first film who had the AC drop on her. I didn't think she actually died in the scene, even though he said, "I think I killed her." She did, because we see her on a gravestone later. And for some reason, most of the graves have photos accompanying them because people do that? What? That's the most rare shit you ever seen, but because this movie is so cartoonish, there's just pictures accompanying all the gravestones, and hers features the shot from the first movie with the AC on her. So this man has killed at least 4 people, probably more. Speaking of cartoons, at the Maxi headquarters, shooters inform the reason all the drivers there can hit just as far, if not further than Happy Gilmore, is because they have snipped a tendon that allows them to twist even further, getting a full rotation on that golf swing, essentially turning them into superheroes, or at least that's kind of how it comes across, because some of these actors, the female in particular, barely swings a club and it goes phew! There's like fire behind it. It's ridiculous. An hour into this travesty, we do finally make it to the graveyard that I was talking about. Happy's there, who ironically is never happy in this entire film, piss poor drunk. He's talking to his wife, who's in the same cemetery as every other character he's come into contact with. Quite convenient. Shooter's there now too. I don't know how he tracked him down, but it doesn't matter. They start beating the shit out of each other. Naturally, Shooter hates Happy's guts. It would take a lot to get this guy to go on a redemption arc. I don't know what Happy has to tell him or what Shooter needs to realize, but good luck trying to get this guy on your side, Happy. I find it very hard to believe that's ever gonna, and he does! Instantly! Right after they punch each other in the face and slam each other's faces into granite, they just kind of become friends. Happy turns to him and goes, "Hey, you've missed this, haven't you? You missed this." And Shooter goes, yeah, you son of a bitch. Let's play some golf together. We're on the same team now. We're best friends. The fucking guy was in a mental institution for almost 30 years. He comes out and he's just like, yeah, we're cool. Make it make sense, please. Somebody please make it make sense. I know Adam Sandler doesn't put a lot of effort into his scripts, and this is basically just an excuse to have his wife, his 2 daughters, his buddies, this crew go along on these long vacations where they can just kind of make a movie in the background while they sip margaritas out by the beach. But Jesus, give me some sort of sign that you care a little bit about the characters you created, because this is coming off as insulting. Back at the Sandler residence, where Shooter is naturally hanging out because, again, they're best friends, the attorney from the first film that had a minute of screen time that, remember, Adam Sandler threw out of the door through the window, he's back. Everybody's back. The fuck? He tells him Happy made a good amount of money from that tournament, but not enough yet. He needs to compete in this Maxi League, which means he needs to find more help to train him. Who can he turn to? He's got Shooter with him already. You would think he'd be very knowledgeable with, how to play golf. But no. We need to go deeper. We need to find another legacy character's son. Enter Chubbs Jr., who also, conveniently, has a fake plastic hand. Laugh. Now, you might be wondering, what is Shooter going to bring to the table? The guy hasn't played golf in 20-some years. He's definitely rusty. Well, what he's going to do is he's going to become a mentor for all the professional golfers that are really good at golf and have been playing every fucking day and are the best of the best. He's going to insult them and then train them how to golf. What? There's no reason. It's the worst excuse ever, and we get a little montage again. This one's much worse than the last because we have golfers that don't know how to act, and it just comes off as just poorly written and lazy. We have to pad this movie out, I guess, for some reason. About an hour and 20 minutes into the movie, we have hit the final act. This is going to be all downhill from here. It's already been downhill, but now it's like, boom, straight off a cliff, because we're at the Maxi Golf Tournament. The colors in this movie have been increased by about 90%. Everything is blowing my eyeballs out. They only have to play 7 holes instead of 18. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's like a combination of golf and American Gladiators. I don't know who would even watch this. It looks so bad. And it is at this point where they truly aren't trying at all. Every golfer is going and just launching the ball with this pathetic swing. They're not even doing the wind-up hits. I hate it. Remember Jackass guy from the first film? His son is in this too, played by Eminem. Laugh. Don't worry, Marshall doesn't last long as Happy Gilmore's kids throw him into the pond where several crocodiles eat him alive. That guy died in broad daylight in front of a ton of people. No consequences. It's a comedy. After a bunch of zany stuff goes down, we get to the final setup of the film, where we're basically watching a game of Fall Guys take place on a green that's tipsy-topsy-turvy. It rocks back and forth. Sandler's ball's on top. If he can make this in one shot, they win. Maxie closes down. Golf is restored. If he misses, he doesn't get his grandma's house back because remember, that's still, I guess, in the equation. And golf, as we know it, has changed forever. The stakes couldn't be lower. Also, this is the same thing they did in the first movie, but instead of an obstacle course miniature golf situation, it's this tipsy-topsy thing that there was no setup for. Because in the first movie, Happy Gilmore trained for that situation. In this, no, we're just throwing it out because this is the laziest script ever. And he uses Bad Bunny to balance things out together. And he hits the shot. But oh no, it doesn't go in! They lost. But wait! Bad Bunny fell asleep, he passed out, who cares? And he falls down, causing the ball to roll in. I guess anyone at any point can do anything to kick that ball in. Now, I had fun pointing out the cameos, but keep in mind, I glossed over about 50 others. There are a ton of podcasters in this. There's news anchors. There's a bunch of other golfers I didn't mention. There's other friends of Sandler's thrown into the mix. I can't keep up with it all. And it truly does not matter to the story. The film ends with Hal getting arrested at the AA meeting and Happy saying goodbye to his daughter and sons, who I guess are going along with her to Paris. I can't wait for that spin-off movie. The Gilmores. I bet it's coming because we got to get the family some more work. And Adam Sandler seems so checked out in his own film, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a producer role going forward. The final shot of the movie is him driving on a dirt road with Tom Petty playing in the car. Can't go wrong with a little Petty in a little countryside. But he forgot to charge the car. So he has to get out, grab his clubs, and just walk the road away from the camera. While the ghost of Chubbs and Abraham Lincoln and his wife, amongst others, show up to say goodbye. What a disappointing pile of ass! I hated this movie. None of the magic or charm has been retained from the first, but I kind of knew going in this was going to be a lost cause. Netflix movies are just terrible. Adam Sandler movies have been awful outside of some of his drama like Uncut Gems. Yes, great movie, but that's 1 out of like 60 lately? I'd like to hear from you though in a civil way if possible. Please let me know if you liked the movie or hated it as much as I did. Leave a comment. Again, think of subbing to Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I also have my merch store up. You can find that link in the link tree along with a lot of other stuff. And hopefully, I catch you next time. Take care. All right, I think I'm gonna go watch Happy Gilmore 1 and get the taste of whatever this was out of my mouth. Wow, we had some fun, did we? On a serious note, if you appreciate my content, I am a one-man band. This is a ton of work and you want a way to give back. Head on over to patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. There's tons of exclusive perks over there. Look at these awesome supporters so far. There's some of the best people on this planet, and you could be one of them. You could be right there alongside, and I would appreciate it.